Welcome to Merlot Field for the final game of a busy holiday weekend. I'm Adam Sussman, joined by my color analyst Angela Harrison. And Michelle French's women's side got it done yesterday. Nick Harlan-Voigt got it done on Friday. And now Portland hosting Seton Hall. Two undefeated teams will both try to get it done tonight.
It's certainly a tantalizing matchup between these two programs, and it's going to be a good one.
It's the first ever meeting between the University of Portland and Seton Hall. Seton Hall, in fact, haven't been on the West Coast in over 2 decades. The last time they were here was in the Bay Area facing Stanford and Cal back in 2000. But this was a team that was picked to finish 10th in the Big East, and they won it in 2020. So this is a program that has had high climaxes and very low lows. And on Portland's side today, CJ Tibbling was part of the Seton Hall squad for 3 seasons, and he's in the starting lineup for Portland today.
Yeah, it's certainly going to line up as a very cagey matchup. You know, both teams had games the other night. Portland coming away with a big win against Cal Poly, and this Seton Hall program got a 1-0 win over number 10 ranked Oregon State. So there's going to be a lot happening tonight on the pitch, and it's going to be a good one.
Our player to watch for the Pirates is Luka Don, the German defender. He's a more experienced player, 27 years old, came to play collegiately a little bit later in life than most, but he's going to be a rock at the back for them. He has been on the Mackerman watch list in 2021. Didn't live up to expectations last year, but has had a great start to this season.
Yeah, and he is really the anchor for this defense. He came in 2020, 2021, started almost every game, and has really been locking down this very stingy Seton Hall defense. You know, they've only allowed 1 goal in the last 3 games, and it's a lot of it has to do with his presence on the field. Just named Big East Defensive Player of the Week today after that performance against Oregon State.
Andreas Limberg is the head coach for Seton Hall. He's a Swedish man himself, although he did go to college in Southampton at New York. He is the 2020 Big East Coach of the Year, and you can tell his recruiting background is very international.
Yeah, it's the heavy international presence on this roster, and it's incredible what he's been able to do in the last 4 years, getting this Seton Hall program back into national prominence and getting the first 2 All-Americans for Seton Hall since 2005 in Luka Don, and on the other end of the field now for Portland, CJ Tibbling, former Seton Hall Pirate.
There was plenty of options to choose from for the player to watch on the University of Portland side. It's been a prolific offensive attack, but we're going to take a look at Sebastian Nava, who now leads this team in points. He had 2 goals, including 1 against Cal Poly.
We just talked about how stingy this Seton Hall defense is, and it's going to be down to that young man right there, Sebastian Nava, to unlock it. Not only leading the team in goals, but leading the team in assists. So he is the critical playmaker for this Portland team, looking to set up the likes of Sangha, Cambridge, and right now CJ Tibbling in that center forward lineup.
Of course, University of Portland head coach Nick Carlin-Voigt in his 7th season. First time unbeaten through 3, and since 2018, he's done a good job. He's shown versatility as a head coach. You love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely, and they seem to be on the rebound after, I wouldn't say a rocky start, more of a shaky start, a pretty foul-heavy opening 2 matches for this team, but managed to kind of grind out 2 very good draws against good programs, and now against Cal Poly kind of got the goal fest that he wanted, got a shutout, and seems to have gotten the boys really started to line up the way he wants for the season.
Portland undefeated through 3 since 2018 and receiving 13 votes inside the top 25. If they get there, if they get the result today against Seton Hall, it could push them inside that promised land. Stay tuned. Portland versus Seton Hall coming up next. At Merlo Field, we're moments away from kickoff for Seton Hall visiting the University of Portland. Seton Hall is going to line up as follows. It's an international heavy lineup. 9 of the 11 starters are from abroad. Liam Gusky, Johannes Pex, James Boot, JP Marin, Quincy Huraman, Hannes Rolleman. You have Dennis Kalmendi, Konstantin Donalis, Luka Don, who's our player to watch, and Axel Berglund. For the University of Portland, the 11 is as follows. It's pretty similar to last Friday. George Tassari-Sinet, Kevin Bonilla, Jake Artiaga, Nick Fernandez, Brendan Cambridge, CJ Tibbling, Germain Senga, who has a goal and 3 assists this season. Delence Pierre got a rest at the end of last game. He'll slide at the starting center back slot. Nick Denley at fullback, and Marios Andreu will be the holding midfielder right in front of the back 4. Not a ton of surprises in that starting lineup, but it is exciting to see CJ Tibbling play against his old team for his 2nd start this season.
Yeah, and it's almost the same lineup that we saw line up against Cal Poly the other night. The only exchange would be Tibbling for Babalai, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as Nick Carlin-Voigt was able to rest a lot of his players, get them significant minutes off the field. Delence Pierre, one of those folks for Portland, whereas Seton Hall had to grind out a really hard 1-0 victory. He had players like Luka Don going wire to wire for the full 90, so you might see some a little bit more spry legs from this Pilots team than Seton Hall.
The head referee for today's game is Cedric Adams in the neon orange kit. Just to clarify, Portland attacking from left to right, They have the ball inside the final third and set it in the first cross of the game. Man of the hour, CJ Tibbling gets his noggin to it, but it goes over the bar. They've targeted him twice within a minute of this game. Another storyline and something that surprised us on Friday. Jake Arteaga scored his first goal in 3 years, but at the same time, he is playing at center back.
Yeah, and it's an interesting switch, pushing Andreu up into the middle and bringing back Arteaga to partner with Pierre. But right now, Pierre's confidence and his experience is helping Arteaga out positionally. And I think what Carlin Voigt likes about Arteaga is his calm presence back there and his ability to play simply and find the best option to keep possession in transition. Delance
Pierre doesn't take any chances, sends it out as Seton Hall looks for their first attack of the afternoon. Shot from distance goes right off Nick Fernandez, who did not play at all in 2021, but looks back to himself in 2022. Heuerman fighting with Denley. Then Singh given some room to run. Splits the two defenders, plays a nice 1-2 with Tibbling, and then Andreu recycles it outright. Bonilla, one of many to pick up an assist against Cal Poly in a 5-0 thrashing of the team from down south. Those are the most goals Portland scored since they faced San Diego in a 5-1 defeat in 2021. They did score more than 5 in a couple of matches in a shortened 2020 season. Those were against non-D1 schools, George Fox and Multnomah here in the state of Oregon. 10 goals through 3 games isn't too shabby, Ange. We were calling these games last year. It was often times where you would have dreamed to get 2 in a match. Portland was more of a defensive identity last year. This year, it's been the goals on the opposite end.
Yeah, and they've all come from very different opportunities and different takes. You know, you have from Nick Danley's tremendous free kick that we saw in the opener, last week, where we see Arteaga getting that ball off the rebound off a corner, a great tap in from another set play, but then, Nava's goal from the run of play, just a really diverse set of goals. So a lot of options for this Portland program to find the back of the net.
Fernandez gives it to Andreu, who finds Arteaga. And now Nava gets on the ball. Nava started the season on the left wing of a 4-3-3 as Cambridge bombards forward, and Don is forced to clear it out. Saw the defensive astuteness of the German right there. Talking about Nava, he's someone who started the season on the wing edge, and he really excelled in the midfield for the first time this season against Cal Poly on Friday. Had a lovely assist for the opening goal.
Well, he's a player who does like to cut inside. He's got the pace and he's got the talent to beat players on the wing, but he loves coming inside and trying to dish and set up players himself. He really is the playmaker and wants to be the playmaker for this team.
All 11 inside enemy territory for Portland right now. They've held the majority of the possession so far, and an audacious ball into Tibbling is a little bit overcooked for the Swedish forward. If you're Tibbling, I'm sure it varies for every player. Do you kind of chat up your old teammates before the game, or the festivities afterwards for the Swedish forward?
Well, I think, I just was watching them pre-kickoff, and Tibbling was sharing a handshake and a hug with some of his former teammates just before kickoff. So, I think it's good sportsmanship and good feelings all the way around.
Tibbling scored his first goal as a Pilot and also grabbed an assist last game against Cal Poly. Good way to start his campaign. He's probably the most physical forward Portland has. Stands at over 6 foot tall, over 200 pounds as well. He's a wide forward with a lot to give. Can really back into center backs. Him versus Don is the matchup to watch along the front line. They're going to be glued to each other all game. Bonilla steps forward, gives to Cambridge. Cambridge had Nava along the right flank, but gives it back to his fullback. The sure right boot of Arteaga. And a good cross in by Nava. Falls really well. Perfect save. Almost put back in on the own goal. The cross caught me out of surprise, and it did the back line as well. Surprisingly got past Dawn there.
Terrific save from Ron Ullman there. And that's a great ball skipping through that box, and had to have him on his toes dealing with that shot from Sanga.
Hannes Ron Ullman, the starting keeper for the Pirates today, as Seton Hall trying to recollect themselves after giving up a lovely chance to the Pilots. Given out to the right flank, first time cross as well. Sails wide. Ron Ullman, same countryman as his head coach from Stockholm, Sweden. Here's another look at the chance, Ange.
And here's that ball from Nava. Sanga comes sliding in, and just a tremendous save there from Ron Ullman. But this is what we were talking about in the pregame in terms of player to watch. Sebastian Nava hits a tremendous ball through that penalty area, and it's Sanga, sees Sanga on the run and just picks him out perfectly.
Portland's forwards have been doing a really good job of when the ball is on the opposite flank, they're coming in and playing like strikers. Sanga plays the left wing. He wasn't outside the 18. He was right centrally on the penalty spot. It's almost his second opening goal in as many games. Nava flat-footed for a second, but then turns on the burners, gives it over to Hernandez. Hernandez has an option out left, takes it up quickly. It is Sanga. Sanga, good ball across. That's going to be the opening goal! Cambridge. What a beautiful start for the University of Portland. They're up 1-0. Sanga may have not got the goal, Ange, but he got a lovely assist.
Well, and that's such a great team goal from Nava to Hernandez out to Sanga and into Cambridge. Just a well-worked play there, and this is exactly what Carlin Boyd's been working on in training. Here you can see this ball. Just a nicely weighted ball, good take, good, and then just a good zipped pass across. Cambridge comes back, and that's just a phenomenal finish there to tuck it in right there underneath Ron Ullman's hand inside the post.
You don't need a ton of power, but when it's placed there and you have to have the keeper go to ground, it's a very difficult ball to save. And Ange, that whole buildup was neat, organized. You knew where it was going next, and we had a perfect angle of it.
As I was saying, as we headed into the replay, this is what Carlin Boyd's been working on with this team, is just being killers, just being ruthless in that final third. And when they can win the ball, like right here in transition, how quickly can they get into the penalty box?
Sanga almost had his turn. He's been a problem so far for the opposition. Good save by Ron Ullman.
Cuts the angle well, and Sanga despairing there. Thought he doubled Portland's lead inside a minute.
Would have been a couple of goals in about 35 seconds. Portland earns a corner nonetheless. And although the scoreline may not say it, Portland had chances that they squandered early against Cal Poly. We'd love to see them get on the board early. Good cross to the back post. Delance Pierre, the closest to it. Referee acknowledges the deflection. Last off with blue kit.
Pierre signaling his approval of that service, knows that if he can just get the space and the timing right, he's going to put one of these from Nava in the back of the net.
Seton Hall are no joke. They beat number 10 Oregon State on Friday. It was their first road win over a top 10 non-conference team in 21 years. It was a lovely finish by Andrea Borg. Left-footed shot into the left side of the net in the 59th minute. Can they come further north and try to beat the Pilots? Not off to a good start as Bonilla sends a rocket from distance and hits the side netting.
And another deflection earns another corner for Portland, and that was Arteaga with the forethought not to try to turn and shoot there, but lay it off to Bonilla. Bonilla, the much better option there. And here we see Arteaga getting hassled and says, "You got it, man." That was just a great bit of play there, from heads-up play from Arteaga.
Good technique by Bonilla to keep it low. Hits it with the outside of the laces. Denley taking another corner from the same spot he did a minute ago. In swinger again, of course. Towering Tibbling almost reaches it. And Andreu doesn't take a touch, instead heads it up. This time he does, more collected. Good play to go all the way back to the keeper as the Bonilla option was covered. Tassaris has been more audacious off his line, playing more of a sweeper keeper role this year than he did last. You can always count him as a good shot stopper, but has been a facet for the back line as well. Kelmendi working on Bonilla. And the underclassman fullback does well.
Just such stellar positioning and great 1v1 defending from Bonilla. Doesn't get too close to him, gives him enough space, and just is so patient waiting for that mistake, and forces the turnover.
5'8" underclassman for Portland. Starts every game he's available since 2021. Was suspended for the opening game of the season as Cambridge is clipped. Cedric Adams, good control over the game. 10 minutes in. He's someone who I've talked to personally this summer. I saw him ref a lot of semi-professional games in USL League 2 in the area. And he doesn't take anything from coaches. And some refs do, some refs have a long leash. Adams does not.
Well, and he's going to be very aware of the game that Seton Hall played the other night. Again, another foul-heavy, almost 40 fouls in that match. 7 yellow cards, 3 for Seton Hall. So he's going to trying to be pretty aware of this early on. And of course, you know, Portland's history with fouling over their first 2 games, and try to make sure that both of these teams lock that down early on.
While Portland only had 1 yellow card against Cal Poly, they still have the 3rd most yellows in the nation currently with 14. They're hoping that that drips down ever so slowly. They're also in the top 10 for some other great stuff, and 9th best in the nation at scoring per game. 3.3 goals per game is where they stand right now. 2 against Central Arkansas in a 2-2 draw. A thrilling 3-3 game in Bloomington, Indiana against the Hoosiers. And of course 5 against Cal Poly. Now they're up to 11 on the season in the 11th minute of the match against Seton Hall. It's a sunny, beautiful day in Portland, Oregon.
That's well read from Don coming through there. Arteaga picked out Cambridge, and Don saw that one coming all the way through and just gives a nice little chest out of bounds.
Pierre. Cambridge with his back towards net. Gives a little clip out by Gusky. One of 2 Americans in the starting lineup from St. John's, Florida.
Some protests from the Portland bench, but that's a pretty easy call. Tibbling had a fistful of jersey, came through, kind of chopped around, and earns a foul. See here, Bonilla's throwing the ball in, and Tibbling comes in, has that fistful of jersey, and then just gives him a good old just shove with his right leg into the midfield.
Yeah, wanted to hop on his horse and get going. Had one defender to beat until he got inside the 18. But before he even received the ball, Adams' whistle pierced the air. Portland defending what looks like a pretty traditional 4-4-2 right now, with Andreu slightly slipping back further of Hernandez. Denley backpedaling to help defend. Good takeaway by Fernandez. This is how Portland scored the opening goal. Tibbling showing his pace, fighting, jockeying for position, and instead the ball is going to go out of play. Not an easy decision to see who it goes to. Linesman points Portland's way, and Tibbling gets the ball back.
And that's a great recovery from Constantine Donnelly's for Seton Hall. Matching CJ Tibbling stride for stride, that is no easy feat, and continually that pressure, that jockeying for the ball. CJ Tibbling is a very strong individual, so hats off there to Donnelly's.
Donnelly's played the full 90 against Oregon State on Friday, has fresh legs so far today. Almost another chance, scuffed by Senga. He's hungry for that first goal of the game. Had his first of the season against Cal Poly, not to mention 3 assists against Indiana.
Well, you can see here, Bonilla picks him out, sees him coming through, and just wants it a little bit too much, kind of puts a little bit too much tension, a little too much power, when perhaps just a little bit of an easier swing and a redirect would have done it.
Senga, about an hour before kickoff, was awarded with the WCC Offensive Player of the Week for a goal and 3 assists in his last 2 matches. Became the first Pilot men's player since 2017 with 3 assists in 1 match. As Ron Ullman sends it long, Denley defending well. And Seton Hall temporarily picked up the scraps, but it's going to be a foul on Andreu beforehand. So we take across to the 14th minute. Portland have held possession for the majority of this game like they did against Cal Poly on Friday. Clive's Army, the lucky ones here, along with us. They have a little bit of shade going their way, but beautiful day for soccer, just having to put the forearm over the eyes for many of the fans in front of us, Ange.
Yeah, and that sun's going to keep setting, and that's going to peek in through these press box windows, and
Fernandez from distance.
Make it a little hot in here.
The sleeves have been rolled up in the 15th minute for me. You were smarter, more sun appropriate. Wind is slight gusts from right to left as the sun is setting over the northwest side of campus. Next week, Portland will host number 4 UCLA. At least that's what they are in the current rankings, as Gusky gives it away. UCLA on Saturday, and the following home game will be West Virginia, 2 ranked teams coming to Merlo Field. The Clive Charles Soccer Complex, great turn by Cambridge, favors that left foot, good block. Still not dead yet. Fernandez has another chance from distance and a wonderful save by Ron Ullman.
And that's Constantine Donnelly's again on that turn from Cambridge. Cambridge gets a good strike to it, but Donnelly's comes flying across, gets it down.
Portland certainly showing their pedigree inside the 18. It's been a great start for them.
And a couple different ways you can look at that. There's a lot of players to shoot through for the Portland Pilots right now. It's going to be pretty hard to pick out a window, but you know, on the other hand, that's hard for Ron Ullman to see through. You know, you're going to get deflections, you're going to have these opportunities, and I think Portland's probably ripe for one here in the next 10 or so minutes.
It's a good break for a second by Seton Hall. Eventually, the pass by Quincy Heuermann was the incorrect one. His runner zigged when he should have zagged. Heuermann from France, a transfer from Palm Beach Athletic University. 1 assist for his rider. The tying goal against Temple. Seton Hall are undefeated like the University of Portland, perhaps better, not perhaps, definitely better. 2-0-1 is better than 1-0-2, but Portland, as the score stands, be their best start since 2018. Denley. Pass not quite to Andreu. Good press by Portland, and Tippling has a chance. Flag is up. And it's going to be a foul, or is it offsides, Ange?
It's offside.
Tippling put his head down, was charging forward. Fortunately for the Pilots, that's going to be an offsides.
And it's just as Sanga wins it, Tibbling's offside. So as he releases that ball, Seton Hall does a nice job of just stepping up and maintaining that distance and keeping Tibbling offside.
Portland has been pressing. It's been rampant. They forced Ron Ullman into a couple of long balls to get possession back, and the defense does not have a break.
Well, and this is where, again, if Portland's going to continue to press, they just have to manage their numbers through the middle to ensure that in transition they don't get caught behind.
Both these teams played Friday. Could substitutions make an impact? Portland, a deeper bench at home than the far traveling New Jersey-based opposition. But unlike Cal Poly on Friday, Ange, this is not a young Seton Hall team. There's a lot of experience, a lot of upperclassmen, and about half of this team was here in 2020. It was 2021, don't tell anyone the COVID season. But most of this team was here in 2020 when they won the Big East, and it caught everyone by surprise. More on that in a second, but first, Cambridge is temporarily off to the races, has to slow his stride momentarily. Good dribbling with the orange ball and a shove from behind. About 35 yards or so from net. Maybe 30 as Cedric Adams has a word with the defense. No yellow card shown, but good play by Cambridge to make something out of nothing. It was a 1-on-1, then a 3-on-1. Let his teammates come forward for the set piece.
Yeah, and he just turns Gusky inside out there, number 4. And then as he's racing off by Gusky, Berglund has to come back and put that additional pressure on him and ends up earning a foul.
One player getting ready for Portland, that's Jacob Babalai. His usual substitution partner is Tibbling. We'll see if it's that. But first, Denley sends in a nice cross to the back post, but more blue bodies there than white. Andreu He's been in this situation a couple of times, and that's a new one that just lets it drop. Bonilla plays it back to him. That's better from the Cyprian midfielder. Bonilla has a whiff. Denley there for insurance. Tibbling. Working on the end line. An unfamiliar territory for him. Earns a corner for the Pilots.
And the earlier kickoff time is certainly causing a few problems with the sun. We're usually kicking off here around 7 or 7:30, and it's this earlier kickoff time putting the sun in everybody's faces and making it pretty difficult to deal with the cleared balls in the air.
If you look at Ron Ullman, the Pirate keeper, when the ball's away outside the 18, he's blocking the sun off himself. I think Tassaris got the better end of the deal that he gets to defend with his back to sun first. Denley raises his right arm, but not before Cedric Adams can work out what's happening just inside the 18. 3 Pilots and 3 Pirates having it out. It's the good guys and the bad guys of the rivers and the seas. Denley, low cross in, headed net bound initially, but blocked amongst a big quaggle. Bonilla, body feints, gets Almeida Sundell to bite.
Important right now, just trying to pull Seton Hall up out of that defensive third. They had everybody back for Seton Hall in their kind of back third, almost everybody behind the end of the center circle. And so Portland just playing it out through Tassaris, just trying to pull some players up and find some breaks between the lines.
Good pass up to Marin. The Pirate number 9 is taking his time, but lengthens his stride and is inside the 18 as a low shot blocked by Artiega, the usual midfielder playing in the back line today. Artiega, WCC first team last year, and preseason WCC first team selection as well. Tibbling checks out, the 2020 All-American with Seton Hall. This is the first substitution of the game thus far. And then Borg, who got the game winner against Oregon State, comes in and replaces Kelmendi. Borg from Malta. He's played 115 minutes this season. First real chance. Doesn't go initially, but headed back in. Tassaris commanding, punches it away off of a 1-foot jump. And Seton Hall reset their lines, as well as Portland lengthens their back line. Cambridge showing the Burners trying to block Ron Ullman's kick. Pierre perhaps had a little bit more time than initially expected. This time takes no chances, and it fell to Cambridge, but the touch was misread. The Canadian forward has been ever present, has the lone goal as well, and has created chances. Artiega.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Seton Hall was running up like it was theirs, and it's Pilot ball.
Artiega fell over him, 2 times. It's like an old tree falling away from its stump. Artiega certainly more elegant than that, but the fall wasn't as pretty.
Almeida Sundell wanted that call, but as Artiega was going through the ball, you can see the Seton Hall player just pulled him over with him, and that's right in front of Cedric Adams, and that's what he's calling.
Had a couple of shoves at one another. Chris Wilgis is the 4th official. He's currently having a word with Andres Limburg, who's mostly been sitting down in this game. Played over top to Borg. Borg is just shoved by Tassaris, and that's going to be a penalty immediately. Yeah. No question about that one. Tassaris beaten around by Borg. Talk about an impact substitution.
Yeah, and that's a heck of a ball from Don, who sees him, spots him, and catches Bonilla just committed up the field, and Tassaris comes out. That's an easy call for Adams.
I think Andreas Limburg's talking to the 4th official. Is that denying a clear goal scoring opportunity? I'm going to say no to that one. But maybe you can get with it.
With the angle that it's at, that's it's hard to say what's going to happen there. Tassaris committed himself. He earns a yellow card right here. He committed himself to that play, and really once he got caught out that far, he wasn't quite sure where he was in terms of the top of the 18 and pushed himself too far to the inside, and as that ball went wide, he did the only thing he thought he needed to do.
And when the arms swing out like it did too, it's even easier for the ref to read. Quincy Heuermann, the junior from France, number 10 to take. Tassaris standing close to him, playing the mind games as well as the physical one. Clock stopped at 23:41. Seton Hall handed a lifeline as they've been outplayed in the 24th minute. Wind blowing in favor of the penalty kick taker as the Cyprian keeper for the University of Portland backs up inside the 6-yard box. Cedric Adams now instructs him to get on his line. This is the second penalty that George Tassaris has given away this season. The first was converted by University of Central Arkansas. Can he stop the second? Heuermann is going to have a lengthy run up as the whistle goes. Taking his time. Hits it with the left foot, opposite direction of the keeper. 1-1 game, goal for the Pirates.
And where that opportunity really started for Seton Hall was Portland getting caught in transition. The ball went back to Don. As we take another look at this penalty, no mistake there. Tassaris goes one way, the ball goes the other, but Portland gets caught in transition on that foul creation, and Don hits a tremendous ball. Bonilla committed up and inside, can't recover to the runner, and Tassaris again gets caught halfway to the ball and ends up having to foul.
In the opening minutes of this game, I talked about Tassaris being more adventurous off his line. That's an example where it didn't quite work out. Borg was first to get to the ball. Don't get me wrong, the defense didn't have it covered, but it was an awkward angle if he was going to shoot. And Portland has to regroup as Babalai goes to deck.
Babalai with a smooth controlling trap off his chest. Really pushes himself into the midfield and more or less goads Seton Hall into fouling there.
Babalai definitely brings something different than Tibbling does. Tibbling more of a hold-up forward. Babalai called his games this summer, played a lot of winger, but for college purposes is usually the main man up top centrally. Nava plays a good ball in. Ron Ullman not able to deal with it, but headed off by a defender. That was Boot. The Englishman and his company can't get rid of yet. And this time they do, but only as far as a throw in about 5 yards from the near side corner flag.
See that ball coming through the middle, and that was Babalai with the chance for it. And again, those high balls through the penalty area causing some problems just because of the sun in the player's eyes. Can't quite get the clearance or the look for Portland that they need.
Portland picking up where they left off before the penalty kick, dominating possession inside the Pirates' half. Fortunately, the only numbers that matter are the 1-1 on the scoreboard right now. Portland out shooting the opposition 9-1. Ron Ullman's been forced to make 4 saves. Tassaris none yet. Babalai had the passing option, takes it up just too late, Ange. Nava wants to make up for the misdoings earlier. Good pass with the right foot, finds Denley. First time cross in, out for a throw-in. Almeida Sundell, number 13 for Seton Hall, trying to rally the troops, making arm motion saying, come on guys, come on guys. As defense has been put under a lot of pressure by the home side Portland.
You can tell just how taxed Seton Hall has been based on their Oregon State game. Just a little bit of tired legs trying to keep up with this Portland team.
Nava. An impressive ball in, I'm not going to lie, but just nobody was there. Portland scored off a corner against Cal Poly. Should have been Delence Pierre's goal, but it was a lovely save by the Cal Poly keeper. And then Artiega put in the scraps. Ian Albuquerque comes into the game. Originally from Sao Paulo, Brazil, a junior. Played his high school soccer in Pennington, New Jersey. Got the start against Temple, has played 140 minutes total in the early campaign. Andreu sandwiches the ball with Marin's head. And Bonilla does a good job to keep it in play. Spoke too soon, caught by an assistant on Portland's bench. Maybe a trainer. Good catch in this sun nonetheless. Seton Hall go long with the throw-in, grappling with Artiega. Cedric Adams says no, they were both going at it. Looks like there was a jersey pull on Artiega before the Seton Hall attacker went to ground. Nava, good pass to Senga. Senga gives Denley too hard of a challenge to try to reach that ball, and it goes to Ron Ullman.
Right now, Portland just trying to sort themselves out a little bit after that goal for Seton Hall and getting a little bit caught up in the physical battles of transition instead of finding the opportunities to get the ball out, quick 1-2, and try to find another opportunity like they did through their first goal with a very quick one touch, two touch pass for a shot.
Borg, his attack was stopped by a good challenge from Artiega. Babalai taking it himself. Has 3 on him. He needs to retreat, but doesn't have the option initially. Ball finds Bonilla after the challenge. Cambridge, simple ball across, and it pops over to Andreu. Outside the boot, pass to Pierre.
And Almeida
Andreu
Sundell
challenged, and this isn't good. Seton Hall have a 2-on-1, and that's going to be a late foul. Did the linesman make that call, Ange? Because Cedric Adams was not in place.
Yes. And Almeida Sundell has been playing a bit of a dangerous game in terms of his physicality. He's pretty annoyed about some of the calls that have not gone Portland's way, specifically the one a few moments ago. And you can see him coming in late and hard there. And the linesman just was, I think, probably waiting to see if Cedric Adams called it, but because Adams did it, then alerted Adams to the foul.
Andreas Lindberg having a word with the 4th official and shouting all the way to Cedric Adams. Some sarcastic applause as always. After a lengthy stoppage, after the foul, controversial in the opinion of Seton Hall, as they're running down Artiega. Seton Hall attacking right to left in an all-blue jersey with a white stripe across the midriff. They've been defending all game long. So looks like Dawn goes down hard there. Bobble. Dawn is still down. Looks like I think Bobble caught him on the top of the foot, and looks.
Yeah, Bobble was coming through there, and there was really nothing in that challenge. And Adams will stop the clock here.
Gives a break to his Pirate teammates as they all grab a Gatorade bottle or cup, have a drink. Excuse me, body armor, it says on the sideline. No free ads.
But you can see here, Bobble just comes through there and comes through on a pretty clean challenge that ends up catching Don in his foot as he goes through it.
And 3 Pirates swarm to him immediately.
And Don is up and okay.
Borg certainly made an impact since coming in. What can he do here? Bonilla cuts it out, almost by accident, hit off his shin pad. Artiega was clattered into, doesn't fall like Don did though. And this time Bonilla tabled from behind. That's Borg.
This game is starting to devolve a little bit. You see Borg having some words with the 4th official.
Yeah, Lindberg, I think, said, look, keep it to yourself. I'll do the job away from the game. That's why they pay me the big bucks to complain to the referee. Borg has made an impact.
It's almost, Seton Hall's felt a bit hard done by some of the calls earlier in the game, even though they got a legit penalty call, and for some reason feel like they have to make up for it and are coming through on some pretty interesting challenges.
Still 1-1. Don't want this game to devolve into anything poor. We saw that at times against the University of Central Arkansas. It was a 90-minute game that took about 2.5 hours. There was so many fouls and tic-tac injuries here and there. I think there was 12.
14 yellow cards?
I think it was 12, because Portland has 14 on the season. And yeah, there was 12 between the two sides, 50-plus fouls. We're nowhere close to that territory yet. Portland still want to play their free-flowing brand of soccer. The Pirates trying to steal their treasure and muddy that up.
It's a great win from Denley, but gets called on the foul for just coming over the top and a bit late to win it.
Nava there to disrupt a quick set-piece take. Forces Adams to tell him to back up and give the 10 yards. As several Seton Hall bodies trot up the pitch. The big frame of Luka Don as well, the 27-year-old defender, likely the tallest player on the pitch today. That is who they're aiming at as well. He's skies high. Deflection off of Portland, and it's going to be a corner kick for Seton Hall.
And that's a terrific ball in. So dangerous to be able to hit that ball from behind the midfield line, practically. A driven ball almost right to Don's head, but Delence Pierre's there to clean it up for the Pilots.
Seton Hall become a little bit more comfortable in this game after getting run on by Portland in the first 15 to 20. Corner kick on the near side. Goes last off a Seton Hall player, it was. Shoved back out to the corner taker. It's a good fake by Boot, but then he gets it caught in his feet. Nava goes to the inside, has Cambridge running. That's the pass he wanted, but it goes straight off of Borg. And now Portland forced to slow down. Denley, the fullback, scuffs it and has shoulder to shoulder to play. This time Nick Carlin-Voigt is going to have a turn at the fourth official. Oliver Yippa getting ready to come in for the Pilots, a true freshman. Gusky. So to Hierman. He's the one who scored the penalty kick, although it was earned by Borg. Poor clearance. Here comes Seton Hall, low shot, and almost another mistake there by George Tosseries, but does make the save.
And Seton Hall and Portland have really kind of been going back and forth on mentality over the last 10 minutes, just really kind of letting some of the smaller, insignificant fouls and things get to them, and just some sloppy play coming through there for Portland. And it been previously been like that for Seton Hall, but Portland right now kind of letting the emotions of the game get the best of them.
We'll likely see some new personnel from Portland. Nick Carlin-Voigt likes doing that at the end of halves, and with just over 10 to go, we should see it soon. Back post dealt with well, as Cambridge is toppled over. Senga is running like a track meet on the left side. He wanted it quickly. Would have been a one-on-one. But Seton Hall recognized the threat. Bonilla rolls to Hernandez, who's been quiet since about the opening 10. The midfield for Portland in general hasn't made as much of an impact recently. Nava falls and allows another break, but he's coming back to help defend and does his job well. Denley turns to some open space by the into touch line. Babalai was being tugged backwards.
Babalai really trying to hold up that ball there, and you can see on the replay, if there is one, that just how much he's getting tugged back there.
Two subs getting ready to come in. Oliver Yippa and Greg Tracy. Two midfielders that when Yipa comes on, it seems like Tracy usually does as well. They're a duo that the pairs well together.
You see Hernandez has dropped much farther back. He usually plays in a more attacking part of the central midfield and has dropped back now, almost like as a 6.
And allows Bonilla to go up. Hernandez,
yeah.
Superman dives as he gets caught. The man who threw in that slide challenge was Matisse Almeida Sundell. He's up over 200 minutes on the season now. Almeida Sundell actually assisted CJ Tibbling on the 2020 game-winning goal in the Big East final against Georgetown. Portland down again. And it's Hernandez again.
I think that's going to be the 10th foul at this point, and for Seton Hall. I think we're at 13 or 14 overall for the game, and Adams just stopping to check on the Pirates player there. That's Quincy Heerman, motioning for the trainer to come on, or a sub.
Number 22, Mark Wallier, a junior from New Jersey, is getting ready to come on. I don't think it was for Heerman, but Lindbergh, the head coach, may need to change his plans. Games are often won and lost at the very beginning and end of halves. With 9 minutes to go, Portland has gotten out of their groove, Ange. What we saw in the opening 15, 20 minutes was reminiscent of a 5-0 scoreline at Cal Poly, but since, give applause to Seton Hall, since that penalty, they've really awoken in this game.
Yeah, they've applied pressure in the right places on the field and made sure that Portland, again, have been kind of not been able to defend how they want to defend, which is a bit more composed and intercepting the ball. They've been making Portland chase, which, again, commits players into different parts of the field. And if you're not rotating correctly, when you start to chase, then there's going to be more opportunities in other areas of the pitch.
Wallier on the pitch, Oliver Yipa on for Portland. The injured Heerman does leave the game. He's what's earning them a point right now, his penalty kick. Cambridge. Yipa. Good first action of the game, tackle it away. Tracy getting ready to come in, fourth official shoves him back. Gusky, one of the few freshmen starting on either team. It's part of the Orlando City Academy. Nava, back to Pierre. Artiega under no pressure, but Pierre was. Tasseris has only been forced to make one save. Would have been two if he blocked out the penalty. Opposition against University of Portland, 100% on the season from the spot, 2 for 2. The Cyprian keeper before today, 5 goals against, now 6. Has 13 saves in the season for a 700 save percentage.
And Portland pulling Seton Hall up right now, and again, where they have to be careful is the quality in the back, making sure they aren't going to turn the ball over here. But what they're trying to do is create space between the midfield and back lines for Seton Hall, for Nava, for Cambridge, to come through and win the ball and try to play it up to Babalai.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Ange. They had it at their own halfway line and went all the way back to the keeper willingly under no pressure. Just sucked in further and further. You can see Cambridge and Sanga hanging out on the opposite wings, waiting for a long ball to shoot forward.
And it's a double-edged sword. The movement off the ball has to be pretty well timed and has to be very quick to ensure that Portland can play out quickly. And what's happening is that they're kind of getting sucked in with lack of movement from their attacking players and allowing Seton Hall to press in
Cambridge trying to use that pace right now. Instead of going back to the keeper, Luka Dawn just puts it out of bounds. He was the captain of this squad last year. He is again this. In 2020, he was All-American second team with CJ tabling at Seton Hall. 2020 Big East first team, was 2021 Big East third team. Portland have scored 11 goals this season from 9 different takers.
Number 16, Greg Tracy on, replacing number 7, Brandon Cambridge.
Cambridge gets a rest, most likely until halftime. Greg Tracy, the senior midfielder from Colorado, checks in. Didn't start against Cal Poly, but started the 2 beforehand. Continues his record of getting in every game so far this season. Artiaga nonchalantly gives it back to George Tassaris. Really nice turn by Fernandez. Progressive run forward. Looks like he got caught from behind, but he's still up. Goes to ground. He recognizes it isn't a foul. He's amongst a mess of Pirate jerseys. And then Bonilla sends it across that sails high. It just stays in play. And a poor decision to go back into the box. A low shot. Not nearly enough power by Senga. They were handed their dinner on a plate. Pulled up the cover, and Senga just couldn't finish.
Yeah, critical error there from Seton Hall on the clearance and allows Portland a little window. You can see Portland does a lot of that on their set plays. Looks for that back post, and Senga under a bit of pressure there. It's going to take a little bit more than that to beat Ron Ullman today.
Substitution for Seton Hall, number 5, Tomas Nunez.
Tomas Nunez, a freshman from Argentina who played at Estudiantes' academy, coming in, as well as number 20, Pavo Rihijarvi.
9, JP Marin, and number 13.
Marin checks out, as well as Almeida Sundell.
And Seton Hall have rotated their entire front line out, and their attacking midfielder to get them some rest until halftime.
Something to look out for Portland's back line. Fresh legs going to be running at them. Tracy, the turn was a good idea, but the touch after wasn't. Looks like there was a high arm up there by Albuquerque. Doesn't catch Tracy. Now Tracy tries to get rid. Senga, lovely back heel back to Tracy. And trying to play up the line to Babalai. Senga.
Don manhandling Babalai a little bit on his recovery back, just trying to make sure that any kind of quick opportunity wasn't going to come his way.
It kind of looked like 2 boxers who were tired, just hugging each other.
Yeah.
Babalai is a fiery player up top. He thrives off energy. A good battle with Don as the Pirate player gets the better of it there. And it does trickle out of play before the Seton Hall pass. Just 3.5 minutes left to go in the first half. Portland dominated for the opening 20-25, but Seton Hall has settled into the game nicely. Maybe aggressively taking the game is a better verb for it.
Well, and Seton Hall's been so good at their press in Portland's half of the field, just very quick and closing down, kind of sucking Portland into kind of a little bit of a complacent, mentality while they're looking and hunting for passes, and all of a sudden they're on the Pilots, giving them no breathing space.
Berglund took the ball off of Denley, who had a poor touch off his shin pad, but it goes out for a corner. Lindberg up his feet. The Swedish head coach runs all the way to the other side of the bench, instructing what to do inside the corner. As well as Portland doing the same thing. They're shouting from their bench. Heard Babalai at the top of his lungs. Not sure if that's for a sub or for instruction inside the 18, but all 11 bodies for the Pilots are inside the box. Tracy, the furthest most out. Tassaris uses his height well, and the captain for Portland grabs it. Good play not to punch, instead to grab.
It's under a decent amount of pressure there from Thomas Nunez. Almost gets caught up in the physical skirmish before he remembers he's got to go get the ball.
Nunez had his first collegiate minutes against Oregon State. Played a solid half an hour, looking to do the same here. Good cross from distance and poked at Erhi Jarvi. If he let that run through, I think that was to Nunez further back of him. May have been a much cleaner strike. Muslim Umar coming in.
And Portland right now just being a bit too careless in the back with possession. Some pretty basic turnovers that they're making, giving Seton Hall a lot of opportunity and just some adrenaline when you get in these situations and you can kind of pick the ball off easily. Gives you fresher legs than you think you have.
Are they trying to shoot it up to the forwards too quickly? Or are they kind of ignoring the midfield too much in your opinion, Ange?
I think 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I think right now they're not making their choices quick enough in how they want to keep the ball, and so they're not moving it quickly. So it's the off the ball movement, whether it's trying to play it long to the forwards, them making a run to get the ball from a long ball, or the midfielders checking back into space to receive it. They're just, the decisions are not happening quick enough out there.
It seemed like a game of how many goals would Portland score in the opening 20 minutes, but since the East Coast foe of Seton Hall have brought their A game, you can see why they beat Oregon State. They can frustrate big opponents. Umar, fresh into the game, only has 15 seconds to try to make a name here. And into the gloves of Ron Ullman. And that should just about do it for the opening half as the PA announcer counts down in single digits. And Ron Ullman will likely boot this away. First half goes as follows. The Pilots won, the Pirates won as they score on a penalty kick after we had a Brendan Cambridge slotted goal into the left-hand side of the net. That's going to do it for halftime. Stay tuned to the WCC Network as we'll show a lovely Nick Denley. It's a feel-good story spot during the break. When we come back after the Nick Denley spot, the second half between the University of Portland and Seton Hall.
Good. Okay, guys, objective today, have a really sharp practice, work on some set pieces, work on our shape, getting all the details tuned in for tomorrow, all the things that we do, the honesty, the integrity of the details of the practice. Make sure that we're sharp today, okay? It's not going to be long. Really important that we have a really sharp practice and we're ready to go for kickoff, okay? Hey, Coach, can you do it after practice?
Gentlemen, Sergeant Kranick for Campus Safety. This morning I had an officer from Portland Police come by our office to report a stolen bike. Unfortunately, they were able to identify the individual because they were wearing soccer garb, basically your t-shirt or whatever, identifying you to the University of Portland. Officer Good News talked to me this morning at length. He's not going to move forward with any kind of criminal charges. He's letting the university campus safety deal with it, which I'm very appreciative for. As you all know, you're a strong team. You're all united. When somebody does this, it reflects the entire team, right? They gave me basically a letter for the individual to meet with them immediately. I need to speak with Nick Denley. Nick?
Just doing bikes
Do you mind just opening that up? I have to make sure that you've read it, you understand, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Pretty out loud.
All right. You exemplify everything that is right about our program. You always come to training with a big smile and positive attitude. I don't think we have ever seen a frown or heard a complaint in your time. You play each day like it could be your last and run like your engine will never empty. You have been through so much adversity since joining our program and have come out of it better, both a person and a teammate. Spending 2 years here without playing a fall game due to COVID and a knee injury hasn't been the planned journey. You grew up here in Oregon playing for FC Portland, the youth club Clive Charles built. You're an Oregonian through and through and bleed purple. You represent the program with class and character and graduated from UP undergrad with academic honors this past year. We are writing to inform you and your family that you've been increased to a full tuition.
He's just a great kid, great family. They have connections to UP, and you know, it's he's deserved it. He's earned it. So I think that you could see the team's reaction because they know how much he puts into it, and just how smart of a student athlete he is. Well, for him to be able to finish up his MBA and get 2 degrees from the UP, I think speaks to his character. So he exemplifies everything that's right with our program, and it was a fun little event.
Dream come true. Yeah. It's been a long time, and growing up here in Oregon, back in McMinnville, and playing for FC Portland, I've always known Clive Charles and came to the games, and so it's just nice to finally live that.
We did this with Keenan Weeks, who also is equally as deserving of a few years back with a Wally prank, and you know, we have a great relationship with P Safe, and we just talked about the values that this team has and how good they are, and so I thought I'd catch them off guard a little bit and come down, and some of the guys I think maybe weren't fooled, but other guys were like, oh, this isn't good. So again, just a little bit of fun before the season, and a great way to reward a really good pilot.
Got that bike like a week ago back from home, so I was like, maybe it's something else, but no, it's good fun.
Exciting time to watch our guys play, and want everyone to come out, students, community, please come out and support us. I think you'll see a great group of guys that play really hard and play the right way.
We're locked even at Merlot Field. The home side, the University of Portland won. The visitors from the East Coast, New Jersey to be exact, Seton Hall won. It was a PK by Seton Hall that got them back into the game, but Ange, the opening 20-25 minutes for Portland, I said it multiple times, the opening 45, that was perhaps the best stretch of soccer they've played this season.
Yeah, they performed in an absolutely dominating fashion and then kind of sat back and let Seton Hall bring the game back to them and claw their way back in. I said before the game it'd be a bit of a cagey match, and overall the first 45, that's what it turned out to be.
The opening goal for Portland came courtesy of Cambridge in the 7th minute, and this wasn't even their best chance. Cambridge just had a beautiful finish in the lower left-hand corner.
Yeah, cool as you like, just coming through, and that's a great setup and a great pass, and then just picked out so well for Cambridge. Nava just centers that ball perfectly right onto Cambridge's foot, and Sanga to Cambridge, and Cambridge makes no mistake about it.
Goes against the momentum of the keeper, Ron Ullman, but then Seton Hall got back in the game because of this foul by Tassaris.
Yeah, Luka Don, player to watch for Seton Hall, hits a great ball forward, gets Portland kind of caught up and committed there, and Tassaris gets suckered into making a bad play on the ball, and it was no problem for Seton Hall and Quincy Heerman to finish that penalty.
Yeah, Heerman, that's his second goal of the season. That was 2 goals and an assist on the year. Here are your halftime statistics for the half. 6 shots on goal for Portland. Considering they're not a huge shot number team, having 6 on target, good job by Ron Ullman to keep it at 1.
Well, he made a heck of a save in the opening seconds, I think, of the game on a great strike, and Portland just knew exactly what they were dealing with, and it was going to take something special to beat him, and that's what was the first goal.
Made a great save again just 30 seconds later after the goal. Didn't let his confidence get affected. Senga was through on net, hit it with the left boot, made a save with, I believe, his right side, and that's what kept it at 1-0, and then just moments later, they got the goal for Seton Hall.
I mean, what stands out here to me, shots on goal, Portland leading 6-2, and fouls, Seton Hall out-fouling Portland 11-4, really disrupting. Again, we've seen this before when UCA came to play. How are we disrupting this Portland team? Well, you foul them. You stop getting them the opportunity to play and find the connections that they made to build into that first goal.
Portland currently hold possession 62-38. They've been the superior side so far, but the score still stands 1-1. We'll be back after this break for second half kickoff from Merlot Field. Back at Merlot Field with the visitors, Seton Hall clawed a goal back to be at a draw right now with the University of Portland. After 45 minutes, Portland's majority possession, majority of shots on target, but one silly penalty can even a game up just like that. Seton Hall picked to finish 10th out of 11 in the Big East, but this weekend in Oregon, they're certainly showing something else.
Yeah, and they're showing what they're capable of. I mean, big win for this program against number 10 Oregon State, and as you mentioned in the Open, have not been to the West Coast to play many teams out here in recent memory, but really showing what they're capable of. And you know, I think you have to credit both coaches, willing to schedule and play anybody, not worried about anything other than getting their teams ready for conference play, which is where they're going to earn their ticket to the NCAA tournament.
I think fans, Nick Carlin, and some players on the field were perhaps frustrated with how they played in the final 20 minutes of that half, but Portland has shown resiliency this year, and twice they've come down from 2 goals. Not quite the same situation, but they've shown the ability to kind of regroup and recoup and finally get back out there and focus more on their game than what the ref is saying, what the opposition is saying.
Right, and that was frustrating to watch. I was frustrated watching that because you know what they're capable of. You saw it in the opening 15 or 20 minutes, and really it just seems to be the MO for teams to come in and hit some fouls on this Portland team, see if you can disrupt their rhythm, and more importantly, disrupt their mentality and really shake them off the ball.
And you often hear, you know, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I think we're disappointed in the Pies because we saw what they're capable of, you're right, in the opening 20 minutes or so of that half. This is the first ever meeting between those two sides, and it's sure to be an entertaining final 45. We have Seton Hall now switching sides with Portland, of course, in their blue kits. They'll be attacking left to right. Portland now get a little bit more shade in their defensive half. Hopefully they won't have to use it. They'll be in the sun in offense. They're attacking right to left. Looking at the lineup, starters in abundance coming back in for Portland. I think all 11 back in. CJ Tibbling was the first sub off, but the Swedish striker is back onto the pitch for Portland. He brought something that Babolat didn't really, the physicality on the front line, but he's also a cool head, and he's someone that he knows these players well. He's having a fun time with them right now. They're having push and shoves, but Tibbling will love to get a goal against his old team.
Absolutely, and it's going to be, he got a good rest when Babolat came in, so really looking for him to get forward and see what he can do against his old teammates.
The Pirates are going to start with it and send them up. Albuquerque, the Brazilian loses it. Now Cambridge takes a good ball to the line. Portland retreating. Progressive stride forward by Donnelly's. Something we haven't seen much from the Pirates is just playing amongst the back line. Denley will get a better view of him on this side of the pitch. Goes up for an aerial battle with Pex. Johannes Pex, one of 3 Germans in the starting lineup. Meanwhile, Senga's inside the box, takes his time, good patience. The second defender coming to aid, sends in a great ball to Cambridge, and the volley was going to be there, but the low shot secondary is not going to come in. You say Cambridge, looked like he kicked him there.
Yeah, I think that's what the foul is here on Cambridge. Just didn't get kind of the take that he wanted on that cross, and Portland, again, this is what I've been talking about, needs to make some quicker decisions. Give people some less time to think about what they want to do there.
Sun is as bright as ever this evening. It's getting lower and lower in the eyes of many of the players. You can see it affecting Pex right there, the fullback. He was trying to track down the ball and couldn't find it. Tibbling goes shoulder to shoulder, sounds like a hockey check. And that one was clean, but looked oh so painful for Pex when you run into the battering ram that is CJ Tibbling. He has a smile to make sure everyone's okay. But just look at this back on the screen. They just go, oh. And Pex had more of a running start than Tibbling, but he was just a wall.
And Tibbling's so hard and difficult to displace off the ball. And, you know, that's just such a great quality to have in your center forward.
Tell you what, the Swedish are good at hockey, too. Maybe you should get a pair of ice skates and a helmet on. That was a great body check.
See Tibbling and Don having a few words there. They were the first All-Americans for the Seton Hall program since 2005 when they earned All-American honors, I think back in 2020.
Yep, 2020 season, 2021 campaign was pushed off to the spring because of COVID-19, of course. Portland give it up to Bonilla, who detaches from the center back pairing. Marauds forward looking for a pass. Hernandez tried to body feint the fullback, but not before he could send it aside. Portland coming in today, the 9th best scoring offense in the country. And it's the first time since 2003 they're picked to win the WCC.
I just heard head coach Nick Carlin-Voigt for Portland urging his wingers on this side, Denley and Sanga, to get it and go. Stop wasting time and slowing the ball down.
Denley, no yellow shown by Adams, but
that's an easy call to make.
Yep, does clearly catch Hierman there. Hierman, 6 foot forward. This is his first season in D1 soccer. Played at Palm Beach Atlantic U before this. He may be from France, but of all places, he spent an exchange year in high school in Kentucky. Now finds himself a main part of the Seton Hall squad. The Big East, as always, one of the premier conferences in college soccer. The names you rattle off, even a casual soccer fan would know most. Last season, Seton Hall finished 6-8-3, 2-7-1 in conference. They actually fared better on the road, 4-3-1 overall. That may be 1% of the explanation why they're doing a good job here at Merlot, one of the tougher places to play in the nation. They eventually finished bottom of the conference after winning it in 2020. Back to the action present day on a sunny early September Monday. Borg. Still Borg, working Artiego, has to throw in a sliding challenge. And a commanding George Tassaris is able to grab it.
And Seton Hall really grabs Portland there at the break. Catching him on a counter, getting a lot of them chasing back, and Portland didn't hit their defensive rotations to track with runners back and really kind of put themselves in a bit of a situation that Tassaris ends up bailing him out of.
Good dribbling by Tibbling. Hernandez collects the ball with pillowy feet, and it's going to be a strong challenge on him. Hernandez, to no fault of his own, has been on the ground more than anybody. He's gotten rammed into a couple of times. 50th minute.
A lot of the fouls that come against Portland seem to be coming obviously off the dribble when they're doing so well. They're very quick off the dribble, trying to get around players, and as they beat their players 1v1, it's just a lunging tackle in from the side or the back that ends up fouling them, and that's where Portland is getting most of their chances.
And Fernandez can link up play. Fernandez and Nava are the two more advanced midfielders. When they're on their game, Portland's on their game. The Pilots returned 6 players who started at least 10 games last season. Fernandez not one of them, so he almost feels like a new player because of an injury redshirt last year. Bonilla, amongst a crowd, tries to go over the top to Cambridge. They've linked up together so many times the last 2 seasons. Another one here would be crucial. Andreu moves without the ball, goes back and gets it, but's fouled. Quick resumption. Julian Kunze getting ready to come into the game. And Fernandez on again, trying to turn. And this time, I think it's gonna come out from Adams. The first yellow card after a busy game of fouls. And it gets a applause.
I think that's Albuquerque, who's just been trying to keep Fernandez in his pocket all day long, but Fernandez won't have it. And
Yellow card booking Seton Hall, number 15, Ian Albuquerque, in the 51st minute.
that light that you're seeing on the field there that those players are walking in is a little bit of the sun. Some of it is the glare from the windows in the press box. So Adam and I are making sure that we can see the players. It's sometimes pretty hard to see through these windows, though.
Fernandez just gets chopped out again, and clock stops. That's going to be another one. Fernandez
And that's
taking
Marin.
taking the brunt of it. Marin, who was subbed out in the first, comes back in and collects a yellow. So now we got Marin in the book for a yellow.
Both coaches at midfield talking to both the fourth official and AR1. Just wondering at what point is this game going to get under control?
Both of these teams, relatively short clean sheet streak halted. Portland had their first of the season against Cal Poly. Seton Hall got a 1-0 win over Oregon State on Friday. Portland trying to take a 2-1 lead, headed away by Don. See the sweat fly off his face in the sunny Merlot field. Good challenge by Andreu. That's going to be Portland ball. Andreu thought about taking it awfully quickly. I thought Adams was going to blow his whistle if he did. Sub coming in for Portland, Kunze replacing Denley.
Number 33, Julian Hansa on
And I like this sub from Portland, just giving them some fresh legs and a little bit more size to deal with the physical presence that Seton Hall's bringing to this game.
Is a Portland player down away from the ball. Don't think there was any contact or anything.
I'll stop the game. The athletic trainer to make their way out. With a player as big and imposing as Don is in that back line, when Portland is getting fouled and they have these opportunities, they got to look for something other than what the obvious play is.
Yeah, Delence Pierre having a lengthy conversation with the fourth official and the linesman.
Don's going to be roaming that penalty area on those free kicks in, those long free kicks in that Portland's looking for, you know, a one or a flicked header. So Portland has to look for something off the training ground, something that they've rehearsed, something that they've done before to create something other than an easy clearance for Don.
Flow of the game has certainly stagnated after the penalty kick by the Pirates. Another reason the game can stagnate is injuries, one you don't like to see. Arteaga is still down. Head coach Nick Carlin-Voigt has gone to check on him. Awfully unfortunate he is down. In his 5th year with the Pilots, came back for his last year of eligibility. Has done a good job at center back. Thankfully for Portland, they do have center back reinforcements on the bench. Jose Olmos can play there, and the center back who started this season, Jalen Rodwell, more than capable as well.
Just walking gingerly on that left foot, Arteaga is.
See what Nick Carlin-Voigt decides to do. I did see Olmos and Rodwell. They were both warming up at halftime. It will likely be one of them to come on. Gonna have to get their pearly white jersey on nonetheless, as one's taking their kit off. Maybe Hernandez. It is in fact going to be number 28, Sebastian Hernandez, who redshirted last year due to a leg injury. This year, he's played 3 games, solid minutes as a sub, about 119 minutes total. As he will slide in at center back. Kunze throws to Tibbling, who's amongst 3 defenders, ping-ponging around with heads. And it looked like a foul by Albuquerque. He's on a yellow, he's got to be careful. Ran to the mid-drift of Sanga. Nava and Kunze. Over the ball, which is shining oh so bright in the sun. It's not quite over the mountains. I think it's going to set the second this game ends.
Yeah.
Most on the far side of the 18. Kunze, as usual, runs past it. Nava sends it a little too deep and gone out of play despite the best efforts of Cambridge.
Yeah, cleared the line of Don's head, but Portland maybe should look for something shorter there, something that's going to come in at the near post, low.
Ryan Ullman places the ball down like you would clay on a pottery wheel. Takes his time and sends his teammates forward. Fernandez, the first to it. Cambridge was with him, but Seton Hall win the ball. Pex. Still the German defender. He's in uncommon territory. Hurman would love a brace. Looks like a hit off a hand. Adams had his whistle in his mouth, was in the right position to make the call, and Tibbling sends up Cambridge. Cambridge, good track back, but he's still on the ball. The Canadian winger on the end line tries to split two, and Ron Ullman able to get it. Good pass by Tibbling.
Nava and Fernandez just could not get up into the area. It was a great pass from Tibbling, a great run from Cambridge, but Cambridge had 3 players plus Ron Ullman there to beat, and not one teammate into the area at a time where he could play them the ball.
Fernandez tying a shoe inside the center circle. Play resumes. Not even 10 minutes from half, but it's felt like an awfully eventful second 45.
I feel like we've been out here for a half hour already.
Tibbling is the one who ends up on ground.
I think that's the right call. Tibbling comes in there, coming hard for the ball, and gets caught up a little bit, but then ends up going 100% in the other direction. Wrestles the arm, pulls the Seton Hall player down to the ground.
Man, these are the type of plays that Portland can't let get in their head. And you see the shouts from the bench, and it happens. Adams isn't changing his mind. You just can't let that get to you, as Seton Hall has a chance, a rocket set piece from distance that doesn't make it where it should, but it's headed back in, and Tibbling, the center forward, doing his best fullback impression, and sends it up the line to Cambridge again, but this time he can't be fed through. A lone purple and white checkered flag waves across Clive's Army, but it will sound like a lot more than a dozen fans or so over there if they can get this 2-1 goal. You can feel the tension in the air. Adams has done a good job of settling this game down. A few yellows have calmed down the opposition. It looked like a flailing arm came up and caught Cambridge. Nick Carlin-Voigt and Lindbergh both collide with the 4th official, and there's another player down.
I think that's Delence Pierre, actually. Coming through and just catches a high arm.
There's a Seton Hall player down, looks to be relatively seriously injured as well. It's Matisse Almeida Sundell. He's grabbing something. You're right, Ange, that was Delence Pierre. Cambridge was marauding further up the pitch.
As we see Pierre come up there, there's Sumida who comes down, and you see Sumida come down just really hard on that shoulder, and then coming through the middle, Albuquerque just catches Pierre high, but that was Almeida Sundell on the initial challenge of Pierre. Pierre shrugs him off, and as he lands, you can see he landed pretty awkwardly on that shoulder chest area, but bends his arm kind of behind his back there, and that's a
might be his
tough
wrist,
injury.
Hand area. Nick Carlin-Voigt gives him a high five as he heads to the bench. Look, no injury's good, but if you're a soccer player, you're going to get injured in one spot. Hand's not the worst. Hopefully he's able to keep on going, or if not, just be healthy as soon as possible. Andreu stops what would have been a promising counterattack. Not sure who subbed in for Almeida Sundell, but they do have 11 out there. I'll put I Spy Ange on the case. Pierre to Hernandez.
I think it was Nunez, Tomas Nunez.
The freshman from Argentina. The Seton Hall team has a lot of international talent, mostly from Europe. Good Good pace by Borg to trouble Bonilla.
And Seton Hall dropping back. They're usually only defending with 2 or 3 players forward, dropping everybody else behind the ball.
Hernandez has a nice turn to Conce.
And then looking to spring forward on that counter, just trying to suck those Portland players forward and spring on the counter.
Hernandez, backwards header. That was impressive to stay in bounds. How long does it stay? Senga's going to make sure for a while. The Canadian forward gives it to another Cambridge, and the dummy through is only as far as Ron Ullman.
And that's Liam Gusky with the tackle there on Cambridge, and I don't think that there's anything in that challenge. It's a fair challenge and a great win from Gusky.
Nearly 2/3 of the game has surpassed. Portland are hoping the final 30 is one. The Clive Charles Soccer Complex that is memorable. They have 2 huge home games upcoming against UCLA, who they beat last year, and West Virginia after that. Here's Seton Hall going the other way. They have numbers. Tassari stands firmly on his line. He's not coming out. To the back post. Lovely touch initially. Conce able to get rid, but not out of trouble completely. More bodies back for UP, and then a foul to end the attack. And bodies come out. Conce not happy.
Yeah, James Boot on that challenge as the Portland player goes to the turf. The flag goes up and the whistle blows, and he just knocks the ball into the back of the Portland player, which is what he's getting talking to about right now.
Has the yellow been shown by Adams yet, or just
Not
hovering
yet.
in his hand? Was it Hurman who made the initial challenge, and then there it is for Boot, and that's the 3rd yellow card of the game, all shown to the opposition side.
You can see this is just a good win there. Sends Nava over, and then, yep, just
Yeah, it was Boot on both of them.
hits the ball right into Nava. And right here, there's the foul, and then hits the ball in frustration. So always going to be a yellow.
Yeah, even if you hit the ball and it doesn't hit the player on the ground, you're still likely going to get a yellow. There's not much that Boot can argue about. Clock was stopped. Rahi Jarvi, number 20, getting ready to come in, as well as Axel Berglund, who started this game. Two jump, neither connect. Tibbling looked like he was dragged down, no call.
I think that was a pretty fair 50-50 challenge, but that's a pretty legitimate foul there against Thomas Nunez on Delence Pierre.
Pierre
Gives him a
pushed from
pretty good
behind.
shoot, 2-handed shove. Yep, you watch this ball come in. Pierre's reading it the whole way, and you just see Nunez right in front of the AR1.
What can you complain about?
Not sure. You see his hand come all the way through, up over his shoulder, almost to his head.
Play resumes with Hernandez, and can't find Fernandez.
And these giveaways, these types of short giveaways are really going to cost Portland in the end if they can't get it cleaned up here.
Don. I think we made the right decision making him our player to watch. Set piece defense and defending in general has been excellent, as Cambridge earns a foul. It has flirted with getting a little bit University of Central Arkansas-y. There's been a lot of stoppages this half. We haven't even played 15 in-game minutes yet.
Well, and interestingly, what we're not seeing, and that's Gusky that's getting the talking to, what we're not seeing is Portland's retaliation and coming through on some of the challenges that we saw them make against UCA and earning their own fouls and bookings.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but and what's happening is when Adams calls it, he doesn't want to stop the clock, but then you see 3 or 4 Seton Hall players go to him, have a conversation, and then you need to stop the clock, and we just see another yellow card there for Gusky. And it wasn't because of the foul, it was because he went to talk to him for a minute.
Yeah, and in the opening 10 minutes of the half, we saw some really good opportunities from Portland, and here's the foul. Just wraps up his legs and doesn't let him go, and that's not sure what you're going to be arguing with the referee on that when you're when that's what you're doing, when that's how you're defending.
It's now 4 yellow cards for Seton Hall. Nava.
And this is what Seton Hall doesn't want. Portland playing very quick one-touch soccer, no mistakes in their passing, and this is why they end up starting to foul Portland, is that they don't want Portland to play this quickly.
Good across inside. Tibbling thought about going to it, would have clattered into his old teammate Ron Ullman. And what the sun is setting, but also the scene is picture perfect for one of these subs, like an Umar, to come in, score that goal. With 30 minutes to go, we know both these teams played Friday. Portland Stars probably got more rest than Seton Hall's, but fresh legs could make the difference in this game. Haven't been mentally drained either. Konset, wind is blowing strong on the corner flag. He's hovering. German defender sends a good ball in, flicked across by Senga, but doesn't keep it low.
Senga just can't make anything come of that one, but that's a good ball in, a good near post ball from Konsa, and that's nowhere near the head of Don, and that's what Portland has to do. Keep the ball away from him and look for opportunities elsewhere.
Senga, who was the one to get his head to the corner, is replaced by Muslim Umar, the fast player who's shown flashes of what is capable of a true freshman. Like many on Portland's front line, another Canadian. Two subs did come in. They were preparing for a while for Seton Hall. Axel Berglund, as well as Pavlo Rihijarvi.
And Fernandez had Cambridge there, just couldn't quite pull the pass off. Just hits it outside a bit too much instead of angling it a bit more direct. Cambridge can run and catch up to those. You don't necessarily need to pinpoint his feet on that kind of outlet.
Seton Hall are playing awfully compact. You can tell because you see how much space Umar has when the ball's on the opposite side of the flank. They're playing more of a zonal defending rather than a man mark. Tibbling sends it a flying right leg to try to block. It goes off the shin pads of the newly substituted Umar, and then he fouls Huerman in the process. Almost disaster for Seton Hall, as one of the few passes you can completely control in soccer was almost wasted off the restart. And Andreu.
Yeah, just with the shove down.
Catches Rihijarvi.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it just comes through late there. No actual intent to play the ball.
I will say this about Adams. There's been a lot he's had to do, a lot of conversations he's had. I think it's been called pretty evenly both ways. Seton Hall, more fouls, yes. But Portland have certainly had their misdemeanors that have been called as well. Just no yellows yet. Huerman on the set piece, floats it in with the left foot. And Don, the closest to it, he was a little bit too open there, Ange.
A lot too open there, and you're just wondering who missed the mark or who missed the call out on that one, because if Don has a little bit of a different approach and can get over that, that's going to be a pretty terrific take.
Good set piece in by Huerman, who was looking to up his points on the evening. Already has a goal, was hoping for an assist.
AR1 just giving the head official Cedric Adams just something to watch out for, maybe potentially on the next corner.
Clock does tick along in the 65th minute. Umar. Got a touch to it, but Heuerman collects. Umar again. Takes a small shove by from behind. Fernandez to Bonilla. Back to Fernandez. Opens up some space. Dribbles inside. Cambridge turns. Last off of Seton Hall. It's going to be a corner kick.
And this is where Portland's best opportunities have come from. Getting the ball up the field, getting their opportunity as quick as they can. 1-2 touch passing. Really trying to catch Seton Hall off balance. Great little play there from Bonilla. Fernandez just slips it through, and Cambridge, that many bodies in front of him, was always going to be hard to pull that on target without taking a deflection as it did.
Nava sends in the cross, headed directly out the other way. Andreu just takes it out himself, kicks it off the wall, and that's not too nice of him. Adams will let him know. Seton Hall have now conceded just 2 goals through 4 games, their best defensive start to a season since 2005. You see why. Set piece defensively, they've been great. Pirates had 14 different players score last season. 9 of those returned. One of them, Tibbling, is on the other team. He's in the game right now on the forward line for Portland. As not Borg, it looks like it's going to be number 5, it's Nunez.
Tomas Nunez. So you see Andreu come through and...
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because he got his arms up, but Andreu would physically have to get out of the way for him not to run into it.
Looks like Andreu had 2 hands to the chest.
Everyone back up and sing Kumbaya. Here we go. 66th minute. You liked what you saw from Portland before that foul there. Can they get back to the recipe that was successful and made a beautiful dish in the opening 25? Seton Hall trying to put too many chefs in the kitchen. They're inside the 18 and curl it, but it goes high and wide.
Bonilla does a better job. We saw that was the similar situation that led to Seton Hall's goal in the first half. Bonilla this time kind of gets it right. He's backed in, pushed a little bit wide, and makes it difficult for Seton Hall to catch up to that ball and do anything dangerous with it.
Portland was scoring goals for fun last game against Cal Poly. Scored 5 from 5 different players, including the first career pilot goals for Hatcher and CJ Tibbling. Fernandez, Bonilla overlapping nicely. Sends a low ball in that just finds Nava. Nava on the left foot, Ron Ullman again.
And how that ball made it all the way through from Nava, I'll never know, but what a tremendous ball there from Bonilla. Bonilla gets his head up, looks for him. 1, 2, 3 Seton Hall players. It just squeaks by going to Nava. And Nava looking at that one. Ron Ullman so good going low.
Cambridge makes it for a mistake from the keeper. Takes it to his foot, takes a deflection and out. 2 chances there, Ange. Yeah, Nava, he had the near post option, but I think that's one that players all too often will just miss.
And look at Cambridge, just gets Don going the other way.
That's Gusky
drags it
with
back
the block.
to his right foot, and Don gives him a high five. Thanks for bailing me out.
Yeah, Gusky was the one initially turned around. You don't often want your back to the ball inside the 18, but turns back the other way and makes the sliding challenge. Sun is down over the hills here in the Pacific Northwest. Allows for a shadier remainder of the game. And Tibbling trying to climb over a defender, puts the header wide. James Boot, the Englishman, coming back into the game, as well as 2 Portland Pilot regulars, Senga and Tracy. CJ Tibbling going to check out for Senga. Be interesting to see who plays centrally, Ange. We have 3 wingers on the pitch right now.
I think it'll be Senga. We saw Senga play here a few times last year as well in that center forward position. Combines awfully well with Nava and gives them additional speed, kind of breaking through the lines between the center backs.
That pairing as a whole has been the most prolific this season. Nava, along with Senga. Pierre.
Seton Hall now pressing a little bit higher than we've seen them this half. It seems like they kind of wait for a little while before they start going into their full press. So Portland now has to look to play quicker. They're going to have to need more from Andreu and probably Nava.
And this isn't going to work as a shot from distance is blocked.
To show through from the back line.
One of the few advantages of being on the back foot. Counter chances are aplenty. Advantage is played by Adams, and Cambridge is going forward, running right at the defense. Has a beautiful shot. It deflects in! Cambridge with a second! Goes over the Canadian flag. He took it himself, Ange.
And that's the lightning quick transition that Portland needs to continue to do. Seton Hall's press oftentimes has lulled Portland into a sense of complacency, but here they get the ball up the field quickly, and Cambridge goes all the way, beats so many players, hits a nice little left-footed shot, gets the deflection.
Off Donnelly's.
Off Donnelly's. And heads to the Maple Leaf to high-five some Canadian compatriots.
It's Canadians, that Canadian specifically, Cambridge's third goal of the season, a brace today, and he had one against Indiana in the 7th minute.
Tracy's coming on for Andreu. Probably a good sub. Give Andreu some time to get off the field, collect his thoughts. But right now, Portland has 20 minutes to continue to press. Right now, Seton Hall is going to come at them hard, and if Portland thought that the fouls were going to come and the late challenges were going to come before, they're certainly going to be looking for them now.
Boer going straight back the other way, just a last-second ditch effort. Well played by Pierre to not let him through.
Outstanding from Pierre. The thing I like about watching Delence Pierre is that when he's playing for these balls and he's looking at it, he knows where instinctually his teammates and the other players are, so when that ball's flying through the air, that's all he's focused on. He's focused on making good, solid contact with that ball to just get anything on it.
Bonilla went down and clock still ticking along. Gets helped up by Hernandez. Under 20 to go. Pilots 2-1 up. We talked about the resiliency at halftime. They're showing it right now. They were under pressure. A big block was actually what started that break, Ange. And then let's give applause to the referee too. Good job to play advantage.
Absolutely, and again, just lightning quick up the field for Portland. Hits Seton Hall in transition. Doesn't allow them to get organized and makes it easy for Cambridge to break through.
Umar put the back line in a bind. Kunset keeps it in as Umar plugging along. It's being shielded it off right now. We got a full Canadian front line right now with Umar on the left, Senga in the middle, and Cambridge on the right. Kunset. Really good play by Hurman. Hurman wanted the return ball and shoves Tracy aside. Wallier is also back into the game.
Quincy Hurman has been pretty much everything for this Pirates attack in this game. You can see why he's leading the team in goals in this very young season, but not afraid to bring the physicality. And I mean, it was a little bit of a foul, yeah.
Freshman does indeed lead the team with goals. Wallier had the pass back. It's Wallier's first minutes of the season. He's been a sub twice. Nava flirted like he was going to jump for it. Instead lets it drop and ricochets off a pair of heads. Tassaris sucking in the Pirates. Nava. Umar to his left, and Senga was the option. I think Nava knew that one's on him.
Yeah, not much to go on there. Seton Hall had 6 players back defending 3, and then the 4th pilot attacker was Nava coming in to try to clean up that second ball off the 50-50 ball. Umar draws the foul there.
And takes some repercussions because of it.
People want to foul there, but understand that that is Pex's prerogative to take that free kick with Umar standing where he is. If he's retreating or if he's just standing there and he hits it into him, that's Pex's prerogative. He could stop and ask Umar to move back, in which case then, yeah, he's got to get out of the way.
Seton Hall going to be forced to play on the front foot and give University of Portland some more counter chance opportunities like they scored their second on. Cambridge may have gotten the deflection, but that ball was going on target, so it will not be an own goal. It'll be credited to him. Tassaris was initially pretty far out and then gets rammed into. Delence Pierce taking none of that. And when you get your keeper hit into, and you probably shouldn't, Tassaris, the captain, is going to be the calm head.
And that's Constantine Donnelly's coming through again to win that ball. Tassaris positioned himself pretty well out. Gave himself the best opportunity to win that ball. You can see him as the ball came up. He kind of did a little faint stutter step and then dropped off. This is a tremendous ball in from Seton Hall. And Donnelly comes straight in, and that's an absolute yellow card.
He looks at the keeper as well.
You don't need to do that. You can challenge him and keep your elbow down. And Pierre defending his goalkeeper.
Pierre is perhaps the least rattleable player on this team, so if he's getting mad at you, you know you did something wrong. 74th minute. Clock able to resume after Adams hollers at the whistle. Tassaris, thankfully, all good on that one. Stands in tall to make the play.
Tassaris has certainly been hit harder than that. Probably had the wind knocked out of him a little bit, but was able to hop up initially and at least make sure that Pierre stood down.
Thankfully for both these teams, they'll get a lengthy break. Hopefully a day off or two, but I can't speak for Nick Cronvoigt and Andreas Limburg. It's been a physical game, a physical weekend. Bonilla. Good challenge by Borg, who came back. The senior from Malta earned the PK, looking to do it again. That's 5 goals and 4 assists in his career at Seton Hall. Tassaris close to being challenged.
I'd like to see Tassaris get the ball off his foot a little quicker, maybe play a one-touch clearance. That's what Seton Hall is going to be looking to do, is press him hard.
It's going to be the most composed in these final minutes than he has been all game long. Senga, meanwhile, the press not as rampant, of course, as they're up 2-1, excuse me.
Ron Ullman so smooth with his feet, had no problems playing that ball on a dime almost to Pex.
One of the shorter keepers we've seen Portland face this season, but certainly probably put up the best performance at any of them against. Tassaris again, not first time there, but it reaches Cambridge unlike last. Nava shoulder to shoulder, Greg Tracy, helpful support. Kunce just reaches it in time, and he's got some green grass at Merlot to run. A little in and out play to send it across, but only as far as Ron Ullman. Yeah, Ron Ullman, excuse me, Ange. With this game right now, he's got an .860 save percentage.
He's been extremely good for this Pirates team. Kept them in the game and kept them really into the attack. And you see when the ball's on his foot and they pass back or it's coming out, he is very good at restarting the attack and picking out the best opportunity.
Nava catches one. Adams doesn't think so, and it goes out for a corner.
That's a boot that goes down under Nava's challenge, right in front of the Portland bench.
And
Adams lets it play, but he's looking to give Nava a card right here.
Andreas Lindberg is on Portland's side of the field right now, as one player is getting ready to come in. It's going to be Michael Hatcher, who scored his first career Pilots goal, the 5th and final goal against Cal Poly on Friday. He's going to be asked to do a little bit of a different job here.
Seton Hall head coach Andreas Lindberg is now almost to Portland's technical area in his pursuit of a conversation with the 4th official.
Cross was scary for a moment for Portland.
That's smartly done from Cambridge. Shields it out going the other way towards his end line just to make sure that he can get his preferred right foot around it and get it up the field and allow Portland to reorganize. He knew there was nobody up there to play to, but needed to give his teammates time to get out of the penalty area and sort themselves out to defend again.
Cambridge coming to play auxiliary fullback. And that ball finally trickles out. Seton Hall, of course, take it quickly. 78th minute, time running out. Trying to remain undefeated in the state of Oregon after beating the number 10th ranked Beavers. Borg. Some haphazard shouts here and there, but if nobody complains about it on the field, it's not going to be a foul. Pierre gets lost for a second. Shot not able to register.
Tassaris playing way off his line there, and has to be pretty grateful Pierre was able to marshal that.
Senga going, has to watch out on his shoulders. There's one behind him, takes it on his left foot, gets one to dive. Oh man, head body's going forward with him. Now 2 collapse on. Not quite time wasting moments yet, Ange, but here comes Hernandez. That's last off a Seton Hall player. Ron Ullman can't get there either. And Portland is going to have a briskly jog to the corner flag to take, but Adams stops the clock.
That's a problem when you're as fast as Sanga is here. Look at him, he gets in, he gets Don going down, and he tries to flick it going the other way, but he's just too fast. Couldn't quite hit the brakes fast enough to pull that ball back around. And Fernandez able to come in and clean it up, and it's Don again pressing up, getting that block, and not entirely sure.
They're trying to pull Senga back on the play.
Looks like there was a yellow card given to someone. See the Cedric Adams putting his book back in his pocket.
May have been Rihi Jarvi. Clenset. That one falls perfectly at the back post. That's Delens Pierre. We saw a center back score on Friday. Another one does it on Monday. Delens Pierre with his first goal of the season and his first goal since 2019.
And look at Don trying to protest, but going over looking for AR2 to maybe bail him out. But what a ball from Kansa. Hits Pierre at the back post. I think Don wants Pierre to be offside, but I'm not sure exactly how he can plead that case. And you see there, that's a great set play as so many players run forward for Portland, get caught up kind of in the physical combat. That ball's hit low and dipping. All of the players except Delens Pierre stop to think that something's happening at that near post, and Delens Pierre comes through and cleans that up and gives Portland a 2-goal cushion.
Kelmendi comes back into the game for Seton Hall, a more attacking defender, but now 13 goals on the season and 11 different scores. 2 center backs scoring off corner kicks. You often hear in the professional game, corners aren't as good as people think, but Portland this weekend proving others otherwise.
If those are the chances that you're going to get, then you have to be productive and try to capitalize on them, and that's going to be a red card. That's going to be his second yellow. Probably going to give him a straight red for that challenge, but it would have been a second yellow anyway. Tomas Nunez was on a yellow card already. Seton Hall pretty frustrated at how things are going so far for them, and just comes in high and late on Kansa.
Just another look at it.
Kansa gets his head up. Oof. That is a tough challenge right onto the outside of Kansa's right foot.
Yeah, Nunez. Straight red. And hopefully Kansa is going to be okay. He's given it's 2 games in a row now that Portland is going to have a man advantage. Cal Poly also had a red. Owen Butcher in that game. Nunez, his night is over. Time trickles on in the night as Portland look to be victors at the current moment.
And with the way that both of these teams have been reacting to a bit of adversity, right there, Seton Hall going 2 goals down. Portland, we've seen it at times, just getting frustrated, some late challenges, some rash decisions. You could kind of feel that something like that might have happened during this game, and hopefully Kansa is okay.
And with 11.5 minutes left, could happen again. You know, I don't want to say Seton Hall can foul with nothing to lose, because you can lose a man for the next game. But frustrations are aplenty for them, and it's been a physical game. It's been a physical night.
I think Carlin Voigt is probably going to sub Kansa off. He's definitely giving Adams an earful right now. Adams is like, I gave him a red card. I'm not sure what you want me to do.
The NCAA will deal with it after this. I set him off the pitch. Nick Carlin Voigt goes back to his technical area. Kunset thankfully able to walk off on his own.
Kierman comes and gives him a handshake. You can see James Boot comes as well. Just checks on him. Good sportsmanship from the Pirates.
It's going to be Denley coming on for him, Ange.
I'm not sure why he's coming off at half field.
Yeah.
Because he could have just walked to the bench.
Yeah.
And it's not like the clock is a running clock, so he's not wasting. There's not time wasting.
Yeah. I played volleyball for a few years, and they always made you do that. Never made any sense.
Well, I don't know if that rule translated into NCAA sometimes is late to the rule changes, but now you can, when you get subbed, you can walk off any area of the pitch. So if he's on the far side of the field, could have walked off on the far side of the field, and not quite sure if that one made it to the NCAA this year.
Denley will be playing left back in place of Kunse. He started the game there. Bonilla, I believe, has played the full 90 on the other side. I believe that is Delance Pierre's. That was correct. His first goal since 2019 when he was all WCC freshman. Whenever he's available, he starts. Last year came back from injury halfway through. His first game back was against Seattle U, kept 3 clean sheets. He's also the only underclassman to start on senior night. You can tell how special of a player and how high of regard Nick Carlin Voigt and this Pilots program holds him in. Tracy gets in amongst the chaos, and Borg has a left-footed strike. This time will he try with his right? He's running along low center of gravity and fakes the give out wide, gives it back to the heart of the midfield and all the way to Dan in defense, who doesn't get a proper touch from Pax.
I believe that was Michael Hatcher for Portland that came in on a critical block on Borg there.
Yep. Tall body of Hatcher into the game. He's 6'3", one of the few that can match the height of Dan.
Oliver Yepa on replacing number 6, Nick Hernandez.
Yepa onto the field. Looks like Babalai wants to come on as well. He won't yet. So we're under 10 minutes to go in the contest. Portland have received 13 votes this weekend in the latest poll on August 28th to get inside of the top 25. Beating an undefeated Seton Hall. Granted, the preseason expectations were not gigantic for the Pirates. but still being an undefeated team who a few days earlier beat number 10 Oregon State. Won't do any harm. Senga is caught by Rihi Jarvi. And
Rihi Jarvi just comes through on a bit of a scissor tackle there. I have to think that Adams is going to go to the book once more. Sanga gets clipped.
yeah, like I said, Portland entering today, we're 3rd in the nation at yellow cards. It's kind of been their mission to get Seton Hall up in the top 10 leaderboards. Seton Hall have been a program for a long time. First season, 1928. That was the fun 7-game season, 3-3-1 over head coach Tom O'Connor. They've gone 506, 558, and 119 since with 12 tournament appearances. Their most recent coming in 2020, where they got all the way to the quarterfinals, beat Air Force, beat Virginia Tech. CJ Tibbling, 88th minute game-winning goal in the first round of the tournament. They eventually lost 2-0 to Indiana in the quarterfinals. Pierre leaps up to make the play. Denley skipped past, but only for so long as the ball goes out.
Substitution for the Violets, number 14.
It's Babalay coming on for Senga.
Sanga certainly had chances today, Nick Carlin-Voigt. Perhaps giving him a few words there, or talking to him and assist on the bench, but Senga is a good example of a good problem to have. He's someone who started the season as a substitute, but when you get 3 assists against a ranked Indiana, you get a goal and get the chances that he's had, and another great pass to Cambridge today for a goal. You're going to insert yourself in the starting lineup one way or the other.
Well, and it is a wealth of different ways that you can attack. You know, you're going to have Babalay in there. You're going to have Tibbling in there. There's different ways that you can really try to break a team down. If you're going to have somebody that's a central striker in Tibbling that's really good at the hold-up play versus a Babalay who's really going to try to look and play in off the back shoulder of the center back that he's closest to. And then, of course, Sanga gives you, in Cambridge, give you so many options out wide. Sanga can also play in the middle. So it's a good problem to have for Nick Carlin-Voigt, as you said.
Good play by the fan to stop that ball from hitting in the face.
Substitution for the Violets.
Gonna be a substitution first. In comes Sebastian Hernandez again for his 2nd cameo of the night.
Sebastian Hernandez on replacement number 2, Kevin Bonilla.
Bonilla checks out for the first time today. He's played almost every minute this season. Got out the end of the game against Cal Poly and was also suspended for the first game of the season due to a red card at the very end of the prior. A chest pass by Umar. He might have too nice of packs because it went too far. Looked like it may have hit off his collarbone. His body treated like a basketball hoop backboard. 84th minute, the legs are fresh for Babalay, who puts Ron Ullman in a sticky situation, but the Swedish keeper makes the right choice.
Ron Ullman, again, no problems. So confident and smooth with his feet.
Pierre. Talk about a confident clearance. That's one.
That one may hit the bounce out to the parking lot.
Peck's instructed to go back. And Nava tripped up. Peck's one of the few without a yellow card. We'll see if he gets one. No, he does not. He just retreats back to the defense.
That's such a great read from Nava to come just pick that ball off of Hugo Keller for Seton Hall. Didn't really leave Pex any other option as he was bursting by him other than to foul him and slow him down.
Nava's had an assist in every game this season. I don't believe he has one today.
May not have an assist on the stat sheet, but boy, has he been instrumental in moving this ball through the midfield for Portland.
Could get his chance here. Oh, that could have been bad.
Yeah.
You saw what I saw. Pierre almost treated a defender's head like the ball. Thankfully, it didn't happen.
But Nava's ability to just see the play, read it ahead, has really opened up opportunities for Fernandez. You know, on that first goal, opening goal from Cambridge, I think that ball did go through Nava, then out to Fernandez, then to Sanga, and then into Cambridge. And so, as we said in the open, in terms of making him our player to watch, he really has been the key for Portland to kind of unlock this pretty tough Seton Hall defense.
Two more coming on for Portland. Jalen Rodwell will see out this game, presumably at center back. And then CJ Tibbling will get a nightcap versus his team. His old team, I should say. While we're at it, Tibbling at Seton Hall. Played 59 games, started 46 of them, 18 goals, 7 assists. Had the game-winning goal in the 2020 Big East title. 88th minute game winner against Air Force in the tournament. Was their second leading goal scorer in 21, their leading goal scorer in 2020. And the awards got on the Matt Kerman watch list in 2021. All Big East team 3 times, and 2018 all freshman Big East. He certainly enjoyed his time in New Jersey and hoping for a little bit more success in his final year at the University of Portland.
Comes on for Cambridge. Cambridge has had a good night. Tibbling has had a great night. He's done very well for Portland, holding the ball up, creating some space for his teammates. Then it was Rodwell that did come on for Pierre. Pierre get a last 5 minutes of the game to have Seton collect his breath.
Nava did get nudged from behind, but that wasn't what sent him to the ground. Caught up with the turf monster. And here's Hatchert with a new back line featuring Rodwell and Denley. Pass back, not awfully organized. Armando Torres Cruz, number 31, who got his first career UP minutes last game against Cal Poly, coming in to see out the match. Presuming there is a stoppage in the next 3 minutes, and there it is, as Tibbling springs back up, but recognizes the foul. Andrew talked about being frustrated and disappointed how Portland closed out the opening half. They got their bearings. The counterattack by Cambridge was lovely. Ended up getting the deflection for his second goal of the night. You love to see the resiliency from Nick Cronvoigt's side. It may have not been an overwhelming display in the second 45, but 2 goals in the way they got him. Gritty, tough counterattack.
Well, they just settled themselves emotionally. I think, you know, probably at halftime, Carlin Voigt told them to put a lid on it. You know, they've got to really had to manage their reactions to the fouls and how they're managing the physicality of Seton Hall a bit better, and they did that. And they've been able to find more opportunity, more joy in playing the quick soccer that they like to play, and have gotten a couple great goals and a deserved lead because of it.
Portland have thrown 8 shots on target, 18 shots in total. They've certainly given Ron Ullman a busy night in Portland, Oregon. The Pilots will stay undefeated 4 games into the season, and deservedly so. Tibbling running for it, but Ron Ullman, his countryman, will get it instead as we approach the 1 minute remaining mark in the second half. The 2 periods of soccer are drastically different at Murillo Field. Saw that yesterday as well in the University of Portland women's game against Hawaii. Yippa and Tracy.
Tracy just comes through late there and catches him, earns the foul. Seton Hall restarts quickly, and Portland has to sort themselves out a little bit quicker. Umar there on the challenge.
His dribbling ability is what he's known for, but good challenge there on the defense. Nava tossed around as he finds Tibbling isolated. Calibrates the ball over to Tracy. And Tracy, happy to see it out, give it back to the back line as Portland moves to 2-0-2 on the season and hands Seton Hall their first loss of the year. Portland, final score 3-1 at Merlot Field as Nick Carlin-Voigt's side is off to an excellent start, their best since 2018. When we come back, we'll look at the highlights and the stats of the game. But for Merlot Field, the final score of everything going on, 3-1. Nick Carlin-Voigt in his 7th season trots away from his touchline as Portland captures the win 3-1 after a tough full 90 in their first ever meeting with Seton Hall. It was an eventful game, and in the second half, it often seemed doomed at times, but Cambridge's goal broke the deadlock to make it 2-1 at last.
Yeah, he's all smiles there, and he deserved to be. He was pretty close to being the man of the match tonight. I think he was for the Pilots. Just was everything for them, especially in the second half, running up and down the field and ultimately getting the game winner for Portland, improving their record to 2-0-2.
Portland looked fluid in the opening 25 of the first half. The second half was mirrored by, muddying the game up in the opening 15, but chances like this almost got them on the board.
Yeah, Bonilla squeaks it through, and Nava just cannot get that connect where he wants to. I think he probably wanted to go high, but here's our man of the match, Brandon Cambridge. Takes people off the dribble, comes in and slots it, gets the deflection.
He's so good at that change of pace where 1 second he's side shuffling horizontally, next he bolts at you. And there you see the celebration with his Canadian flag.
And the cushion here from center back Delence Pierre off a great ball from Konsa. Little deception at the front post about where the ball was going to go, and Pierre sneaks in the back and just smashes it in, no doubt.
It may have been 2 feet away, but that's still an athletic finish to get your boot that high. With me, that's hitting my chest and hitting the bar and going off. But University of Portland Pilots, like you said, 3-1 victors, 23 fouls for the opposition. They didn't quite go to plan. There was a lot of yellow cards as well, but Seton Hall eventually have to travel all the way back to New Jersey, knowing the score. And you see these stats, what stands out to you?
Well, I think at the very bottom, a brace by Cambridge. Portland's needed. They've had multiple goal scorers all season long. Nava's been the only one who's scored more than 1 goal, and now you get Brandon Cambridge with the brace, gives him 3 goals on the season, and really starts to fire this Portland offense, especially when you see 9 shots on goal to 2 for Seton Hall. Portland's really trying to find that attack and really come at the teams that they're playing.
Portland made Merlo Field a fortress last year. They went 9-3-1 here. They finished third in the WCC. It may have not been the biggest crowd in the world, 5:30 on a Monday. Kids still got classes, Ange, but they certainly want to make a fortress in these following games. The two bolded are at home, number 4 UCLA and number 18 West Virginia. Going to be fun ones.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. That one against UCLA this Saturday night here at Merlo Field. So even though it'll be on TV, we'd love to see more people in the stands.
That's going to do it at Merlo Field as the University of Portland Pilots stay undefeated on the season at 2-0-2. I'm Adam Sussman. As always, thanks to our entire broadcast crew and, of course, my analyst, Angela Harrison. We'll talk to you next week from Merlo Field. It's been a blast.